Welcome back. In this lesson, you will learn the basics of building a map and terrain of the worlds that you are creating in Roblox Studio. Now, this is an important step in the creation of your games, as you will be creating the landscapes that you want players to experience during gameplay. Let's get started. So with Roblox Studio open, we're just going to open up a base plate and start working with this. Now, before we start with the terrain editor, I want to cover how to change the size of this base plate. So you can notice this base plate is very large. And so in order to change the size of the base plate, what you want to do is go over to Workspace and then click the expand arrow. So now you can see the different elements in the workspace. I'm going to click on base plate. Now on the bottom right hand side, you'll have the properties, and you can just scroll down until you see the position and size. So we have the size here. So we have X, Y, and then Z. And so let's go ahead and change this. And I'm going to make it much smaller. Let's do 256. And then make sure you replace the comma if you delete it. And then I'm going to do 256. So now it's still going to be pretty similar, just much smaller. So you can see that cut down the size substantially. And so now this will make it easier when we're going through our walkthrough of the terrain editor. So that's how you can change the size of the map. And again, you would start with the base plate, and then we can work with the terrain over top of that. Now, in order to access the terrain editor, this is where you're going to be putting things like water, mountains, grass, and those kinds of things. You will want to have the editor, terrain editor up here highlighted. So you can see if it's not gray, then so in home and then editor, and you can see it'll pop up on the left hand side. If it doesn't, you can go down to the bottom left. You can go between the toolbox or the terrain editor. That's the other place you can find it too. So this will bring up the terrain editor, and the first option is the way that is probably used the least amount of times, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So because it can generate a terrain very quickly. So the first option here is the create tab, and you have the region tab and the edit tab. In the create tab, you have the generate. So what this is going to do is going to generate terrain for the map depending on the different things you select at the beginning here. So you can see it has this very large box, and so that's where the terrain is going to go. So what I want to do is I want this box to be over the base plate that we created. So what I can do here is go ahead and put the position back to 0, 0, 0, which is centered. And then for the size, I'm going to do the same size I did before, 256, and then 16, and then 256 again. And then that way it'll at least get me in the right ballpark. So you can see now I can see it around the base plate. If you want to change the size manually, you can just click these blue dots and then drag in each direction. And you'll see what this is going to do. If you need to undo anything, just Control Z. Okay, so now I've got the area that I want. I'm going to actually drag it up a little bit so I can show you a couple things. Now I'm going to have a couple things selected here so I can decide what kinds of things I want on my map. So I could have dunes or an Arctic or a lavascape. Let's do a lavascape, maybe canyons. This is a small map, so it might not get all these things. And then it will ask the biome size, how big the biomes you'd want. Let's go smaller. That's just a better idea than making large biomes. And then if you want caves, this one let's not have caves. And then once you have these settings, you can just click generate. And then it'll take a little bit, but it'll generate a map for you. And so now you can see what it came up with. And so if I click out of generate, you can see it came up with kind of like a sandy area. So again, this is probably the least used way of generating maps, but this is a way to at least get started. You can see what the different things are. You can also import, we'll cover that later, as well as clear. And when you click clear, that will delete your entire terrain. So I'm going to click yes on this. So now we're back to the base plate. So that's how you can generate terrain quickly and then clear the terrain quickly.